Boy, oh boy, oh boy. God, Jesus, Savior. Justin, the long-haired Macdaddy Trudeau, is fast running out of friends. He is fast running out of colleagues. He is fast running out of allies. He is increasingly more and more isolated, and it serves that tacky-headed Macdaddy right. And the latest person, or I should say ally, to betray the Macdaddy, the latest province to go against this tacky-headed, long-haired, swift-foot, two-timing, Canadian betraying quasi-freak Macdaddy Trudeau is Prince Edward Island. PEI, breaking news, has announced that they are against the carbon tax, and they will fight the Macdaddy against the carbon tax, this two-timing king pimp who has pimped out Canadians. A lot of Canadians still being pimped by this Macdaddy. That's what Macdaddy means, by the way. I got a lot of people who don't bother looking up in the dictionary what Mac. You know, if you want to find out what a word means, look it up in the dictionary. Go on Google. Google Macdaddy. It's a king pimp. Someone who pimps people out. Double crosses people, fools people, people fall for it, and the people who fall for him are whores. They're hoes. They're whores. They're the Canadian people who fall for this Macdaddy. You're all whores, and the Macdaddy's running out of whores right now. He's increasingly running out of whores, even though there's still a lot of whores out there who are being pimped by this Macdaddy. You know, they're being prostituted by this Macdaddy. There's a bunch of prostitutes out there, but PEI is no longer a prostitute. The liberal PEI government is no longer being pimped by this Macdaddy. And they say if Ottawa wants to impose a carbon tax, that's their choice. I think that's pretty weak. They should fight the man. I mean, they should fight him with Ontario, with Saskatchewan, and soon to be Alberta. A quick little read of this headline. With a fight brewing between the country's largest province, Ontario, and the federal government over carbon pricing, Canada's smallest province, PEI, says it's already fighting Ottawa's plan to implement a price on carbon emissions across the country. On Wednesday, PEI's Environment Minister, Richard Brown, confirmed the climate action plan his government is preparing to submit for Ottawa. September 1st deadline will not include a carbon tax. Nor has the province opted to go with a cap-and-trade system, the other option Ottawa has given the province under its plan to reduce carbon emissions by putting a cost on them. We're fighting for islanders here. We're saying if the federal government's plan is to reduce carbon, we have a plan to reduce carbon, Brown says. But he said the province's plan to reduce emissions 30% below 2005 emission levels by 2030 doesn't require a tax to meet our targets. If the objective is to reduce carbon in the air and we have a plan to do that, then why do we need a tax? Exactly. And I've said this many, many times. A carbon tax is the most environmentally unfriendly thing a country can do, or a province can do. Same with cap and trade. It's more damaging for the environment. How ironic is that? And the liberals and the socialists are like, whoa, what does that mean? How is that? Shut up, you fools, and let me explain something to you. Stop being pimped by this Macdaddy, and let me explain some sense into your tacky little heads. A carbon tax will ensure that fossil fuel businesses in Alberta, in Ontario, in Saskatchewan, in BC, in Manitoba, in Quebec, and PEI, all over the place, Nova Scotia, all over this country, move one by one to either America, Trump's America, to China, to Venezuela, to India, to all these other places. Donald Trump is hoping that Canada implements a just across-the-board carbon tax. He's hoping that he's going to get more Canadian jobs. He's hoping that you foolish, tacky-head Canadians are going to be stupid enough to implement a carbon tax or allow this Macdaddy to implement a carbon tax on your country. He's hoping that Canadians are stupid enough to allow something like that so that more jobs can go into America. And when that happens, they're going to pollute the air even more because America doesn't have the environmental regulations like Canada has, and China definitely doesn't have the environmental regulations that Canada has. Neither does Venezuela, Saudi Arabia. They don't have the environmental regulations that we have. And if anything, their environmental regulations are incredibly lax. So it means that they will be given license to pollute even more carbon dioxide into our atmosphere and pollute the environment even more. I would rather all the carbon jobs, as many as possible, even the coal jobs, which we were stupid enough in Ontario to get rid of, to be here. We regulate them. We force them to plant trees every month, every year, whatever, and we force that if they chop down any trees, they have to replant one or two in its place. That's what they need to do. That's better environmental-wise. The trees, you don't have to focus on carbon capture like they're doing in Saskatchewan. The trees will capture the carbon. That's the best way to do the environment, to clean up the environment. You know, that's the best way to do it. Carbon tax is the worst thing you could do for the environment. PEI has realized that. Ontario has realized that. Alberta has realized that. Saskatchewan has realized that. Well, Alberta hasn't realized, but they're going to realize it. They're going to realize. Who thinks that Rachel Notley's going to stay in that premier seat much longer? Who thinks she's going to stay there much longer? She's dead woman walking. She's even more dead woman walking than Jezebel Kathleen Wynne was. She's gone. By the way, whatever happened to Jezebel? Where is she now? She's just disappeared now. She's gone. She's gone. I'll tell you something about Kathleen Wynne. I have more respect for her than I do for the long-haired Macdaddy. I have more respect for everybody than I have the long-haired Macdaddy. I have more respect for Obama than the long-haired Macdaddy. I have more respect for Hillary Clinton than I do for the long-haired Macdaddy. I have more respect for Rachel Notley than I do for the long-haired Macdaddy, Justin Trudeau. I have respect for pretty much everybody. I'm not a big hateful person. I don't hate politicians just because they're on the left. I'm not a stupid idiot like that. Some idiot that just, oh, you don't agree with every little... And there are a lot of conservatives out there who do that. You don't like every single thing that I like. I don't like you, and I hate you, and you should burn. I'm not a stupid conservative like that. But, and I don't even hate those individuals whom I mentioned, but Justin the long-haired Macdaddy Trudeau has a vendetta against this country. He wants to destroy this country. He wants to destroy it. And who can say anything? Now say something about that. Say something about that, you whores. All you trolls out there who want to troll me, the few minorities. Most of the people love what I have to say. But the small 0.1% of Trudeau whores out there trying to troll me, I don't have to listen to anything you tack-headed people have to say. Y'all are a bunch of whores. Why would I listen to a whore? Why would I want to listen to a whore like you? You don't rise to my standards. You're beneath me. And not because you're a liberal, because you're a Trudeau whore. And you're a rude one at that. You're a Trudeau whore, and I don't listen to whores. Anybody with enough common sense would have turned against this Macdaddy in 2 seconds, and the people of PEI and the government of PEI has realized that, and they're liberals. They're even more liberal probably than the Macdaddy. People don't realize, by the way, liberal is not necessarily a bad word. Liberal, it means technically, actually, liberal is supposed to mean freedom. Liberal is supposed to mean individuality, classical liberal, and a lot of people out in the east of Canada are classical liberals. In fact, in many cases, especially in Nova Scotia, the Liberal Party of Nova Scotia is even more conservative than the PC Party of Nova Scotia. And honestly, if there was ever a point where in PEI, the Liberals who are against the carbon tax and the PC said they were for it, I'd endorse the Liberals of PEI. So liberal isn't necessarily a bad word. But you Trudeau whores out there, you Trudeau liberals, y'all are nothing but whores. You ain't Paul Martin liberals, you ain't John Chrétien liberals, you ain't PEI liberals, y'all are a bunch of whores who are complacent in having this country destroyed. This is the Arana Nation.